Good evening, everyone. Call this meeting to order. Great to see people of the gallery. Welcome. Note an absence. Second item, item 2, moment of reflection and respect. Thank you. Item 3, confirmation of the agenda. Resolution.
That council adopts the agenda for the meeting of May 1st, 2024.
Mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Barber, Councillor Chapman. All those in favor? That's carried. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Remind you. Delegations, item 5, delegations and public meetings. First of all, 5.1, the Committee of Adjustment. First, we need a resolution to recess and commence the Committee of Adjustment.
That council do now recess and now commence a Committee of Adjustment meeting at 7:01 p.m.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Oslach and Councillor Rahi. All those in favor? Carried. All right. And we have, clerk, you're going to read
The Committee of Adjustment of the Town of Elmer is convened to consider Application 3-24. Additional information related to the application is available for inspection between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. weekdays at the Town of Elmer Town Hall. Signed written submissions are accepted by the Secretary-Treasurer prior to or during the hearings, and such submissions shall be available for inspection by any interested party. If a party who is notified does not attend the hearing, the committee can proceed and the party is not entitled to any further notice of hearings. Submissions or requests for the notice can be sent to clerks@town.elmer.on.ca. A copy of the decision will be mailed to those persons who attend or are represented at the hearing and those who have filed a written request with the Secretary for notice of the committee's decision. The committee will receive input in the following order: presentation of the staff report by the Director of Infrastructure, agent or applicant, the public, staff, and the clerk. Application 03-24 is made by 431 John Street South Incorporated as the owner of the property. The purpose of the variance is to permit the construction of 76 two-story townhouse units with a rear yard balcony projection into the required rear yard.
Thank you. Could the Manager of Planning and Development please provide the report? I think Terry's doing that this time, right, Terry?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Heather James was unable to make it tonight, so I will deliver the planning reports. This report relates to a minor variance for the development at 431 John Street South. The development zoning bylaw came into force and effect on November 15th. It was previously approved by council. This is for a minor variance for a balcony projection into the 3-meter rear yard setback. The planning evaluation, this was circulated to all public agencies and consultation with town staff. There was no comments on the file. Canada Post advised that this development will require community mailboxes to be installed for mail delivery. Catfish Creek had no concerns or comments. The analysis, it conforms with the official plan. It conforms with the purpose of the zoning bylaw. And the variance is considered minor in nature. Onto the conclusion, it's planning staff's opinion that the proposed application for minor variance is desirable for the appropriate development, and it meets the intent and purpose of the official plan, policies, and zoning bylaw regulations. And on that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns.
Thank you. Secondly, is the applicant present? If so, I don't see the applicant here. Next, Yeah, are there any members of the public? It is here
Excuse me?
virtually, so perhaps we should wait. There she is. Very well, we're at your point of the, letting you speak. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Awesome. So the proposed increased balcony, sorry, first of all, my name is Daniele. I'm from Zelin Capriamo, and I'm representing the landowner. And thank you, committee members, for reviewing the application, also municipality staff. And the proposed increased balcony projection, it will result in a positive modification for the future residents and has no known undue impact on adjacent uses. So we hope you recommend approval. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Right, thank you. So any members of the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, have we received any additional communications?
No communications have been received.
Council, do you have any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Barber?
Thank you, Worship. To Caitlin. Caitlin, is it fair to assume that when the site plan was being prepared, that the rear yard dimension was considered to be the footprint of the building and not the projection of the balcony? And on permit application process, it was discovered the encroachment into the backyard of the balconies? Is that reasonable?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll consider the resolution.
That report, Plan 13-24, Planning Evaluation Report, Application for Minor Variance, A03-24, regarding 431 John Street South be received, and that the application for minor variance, A03-24, seeking relief from the Section 325 as follows. 9.2.1, the maximum balcony projection into the rear yard shall not exceed 3.1 meters.
For the resolution, mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Barber, Councillor Van Raes. Any further comment by council? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution is carried. Thank you. Now we will have a resolution to adjourn the committee.
Yes. That the Committee of Adjustment meeting does now close and reconvene council at 7:08 PM.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Osley, Councillor Chapman, all those in favor, carried. So item 5.2, public delegations. We have Ms. Roxanne Riddle, hope I pronounced it, Director, and Don Bailey, Community Impact Coordinator of the United Way, with a presentation. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah. So, Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you very much for this opportunity. As you said, my name is Roxanne Riddle, and Don Bailey is here with me, and we're here from United Way Elgin Middlesex. And I just wanted to spend some time to explain a new initiative that we're embarking on in Elmer, and we're quite excited about this. Did that just go? Okay. So just a little bit of history. So for people who know about United Way, you think about United Way, we invest in programs and services in the community that are focused on improving lives. So that's predominantly what we're known for. But I also want to talk about our experience leveraging volunteers in the community. And so we utilize hundreds and hundreds of volunteers to do the work that we do. And then the decisions from United Way start at our board of directors, which is a large group of volunteers. Our fundraising is supported by a cabinet with many volunteers throughout the region. Decisions on who receives funding is supported with an agency partnerships and investments committee. And we also have a seat at many planning tables and government tables as well. So it's the fundraising component, the investments in the community, working with volunteers, and creating solutions to have impact. So what's been happening? Our campaign has been growing. Our catchment area has gotten larger, so it was specific to London, then London Middlesex, and now Elgin Middlesex. So what we've decided to do is to implement a more hyper-local focus in the region, in our catchment area. And that way we can support communities with specific needs and not just be like, our whole region, these are our priorities. And so we were talking about this concept with United Way Canada, and our partners at United Way Perth Huron decided to embark on this a few years ago. And so they've had great success on that approach. So we've decided to take a look at this. And so we've decided to implement it in 2 communities, in Strathroy and in Elmer. So we want to have a distinct presence in Elmer. We want to enhance the profile of United Way, and we want to enhance the activity as well. So we identified Elmer because it's a very unique community. It's a growing community. And to tell you the truth, even without having a storefront like United Way office here, we have had very good support from this community, from businesses, from donors, workplaces, and events and stuff as well. So we hired Dawn Bailey, who lives in Elmer, and she will be the Community Impact Coordinator. And she, lives in the community, and so her first task is to establish a local committee. So just as I have a committee in London that has representatives from all through London, Middlesex County, Elgin County, she's going to form a committee here that is people specific to this community. And we want representatives from business, from government, from labor, lived experience, et cetera. And so I want to acknowledge and thank Councillor William Van Raes for agreeing to be a member of this committee, on our committee, sorry. So here's the plan. So Dawn, William, myself, and other committee members will work together to form an understanding of what this community needs. What are the needs here? What are the pressures facing this community? And I want to be clear that there are no expectations of fundraising from this committee. That's United Way's responsibility. This committee is just looking at the issues facing the community and what can United Way do through the planning of this committee. So the work, though, has to align. United Way has 3 priority areas, so I want to be clear from the front that the work must align with one of these priority areas. So they are like poverty to possibility, so we're looking at meeting basic needs for individuals. So we look at basic needs, housing supports, and income stability. So if there's programs or supports that we want to do that meet in that category. So an example right now, United Way funds the Family Central apartments, and we provide funding for the food security program, and that's to provide access to healthy meals. The second priority is building a strong community with resilient and healthy people. And a big part of this is community mental health supports. So we subsidize counseling in like millions of dollars for that. And also ending gender-based violence. And so an example of our funding in the community would be the St. Thomas Elgin Second Stage Housing, and we fund the Children and Family Support Program, and that provides counseling for children who have been exposed to intimate partner violence. And the last priority is All That Kids Can Be. And so it's helping children and youth reach their full potential through success in education or community connection and emotional and physical well-being. And examples of that would be our funding at the Ignite Youth Center in St. Thomas or the youth project here at the Elmer Performing Arts. So these are just examples of some of our funding, but again, any work that we do, we want it to fit into those categories. So when we look at priority issues in rural communities, things that always come up, mental health, food security. We're always seeing more and more asks for support from food banks. Isolation always comes up, issues with transportation, and also housing. I don't think you can go into any community anymore where housing supports is not an issue. As I mentioned, we also are very involved in gender-based violence. We know 1 in 3 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, and the rates of intimate partner violence are double in a rural community as they are in an urban community. So we're going to bring this committee together. We will make it clear the committee needs to put aside their respective interests to serve the larger group. And we will ask this committee to hone in on the priority issues that are facing this community. We will also be looking for data, which the members here would be able to help us with to support the decisions. But we'll also have our other hat on, the fundraising hat. So we have to also consider what will appeal to donors, opportunities for 3 levels of government to get involved with this, and opportunities for media to help support this. So our intention is, once that committee has determined priority issues, then we bring other people together, mobilize the community, and take action. United Way is putting money behind this, so it's not like, oh, that's a great idea, now we have to fundraise for it. We will have money to put toward it, obviously with the intention that will inspire people in the community to continue to support it. And any funds raised specific in this community will stay in this community, but we will also have funds like we already do through our community fund to help also support the initiatives. So we acknowledge there's no single player who will be at that table that has all the solutions, nor will there be a single player at that table that has the money to solve the problem. So we're bringing together partners from different backgrounds. It's all about collaboration to find solutions. And then we want to, with our fundraising hat, raise funds so that this is sustainable. And so it will, we hope, is a mix of quick wins, like low-hanging fruit that's an easy solution or an affordable solution, as well as long-term projects. Like if we want to get involved in housing, that's not a quick turnaround, but we do have examples from other communities of work that's been done there. So I hope I explained it all well so that you know when Dawn is out speaking with people, you understand the committee and that Councillor Van Raes will be speaking to it as well. And I guess, is there any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Council. Question, Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you. Roxanne, how many community groups are presently being funded by the United Way?
Like throughout?
Throughout.
Yeah, we're funding 44 programs right now at 39 different agencies. So there's a handful of agencies where we're funding 2 programs. Yeah, and it's about, right now, about 4.5 million out of the community fund. And then with our Community Services Recovery Fund, we have about 2.1 million. Yeah,
Folks are busy.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Van Raes.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I want to personally thank both of you for coming out and presenting. When I had the opportunity to sit down with Don and talk about this committee, and obviously not knowing what direction, because it's getting input from many different people, but just hearing the idea, I was very excited, because big changes come from small ideas, and I think this is something that has the potential to make a huge impact in Elmer, Elmer and Strathroy as well. So this is something that, again, I'm very excited about. I'm very excited to get going on this and see kind of what direction, because in my mind, I see many different needs, but it's great to hear the committee come together. I think being able to come back, having council, giving updates to council as to what we're doing, and maybe there's an opportunity down the road for council to be involved. But again, I just
Absolutely.
I want to thank you both for coming in and presenting, and I'm very excited to get going on this.
Yeah, thank you. And if you do have a chance to look at the United Way Perth Huron model on their website, instead of it being that umbrella United Way Perth Huron, now it has landmarks for like St. Mary's, Goderich, Stratford, and you just click on, and so it's very, very community specific, because we do get caught in that, like, all communities have the same issues, and they clearly don't. And, so for Strathroy, they have some real pressing issues for lack of a food bank, and so that's the project they want to embark on quickly, but they're also looking for some housing supports, and so that might be a way they go as well. Yeah.
Follow-up? Okay, thank you. Just one more quick thing.
Yep.
I've said it since I joined council, and it's one of the messages I try to send to the public. It's, why not Elmer? Why not? Why do people have to leave the community to look for resources or look to fill needs in the community? So again, we see our neighbors doing exciting things. We do have exciting things going on thanks to the great staff team we have, but something like this coming to Elmer just proves that it can be Elmer. So again, I can't say it enough. I'm very excited about this, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I do want to give a shout out. We have some amazing volunteers, have had them for a long time, who help us with our funding decisions, all of our allocations. Businesses who have been generous supporters to United Way for a long time, like EPCOR has been an amazing supporter, and people on our cabinet, on our board of directors from this community. And yeah, when we looked at it, it's the donations have been very generous, and yet our touch points have been minimal. So yeah.
Anyone else from council?
Yeah.
Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I just see here that William is part of this, but you're looking for another council member as well?
I don't think so. I think, I know everybody's busy, so I think as long as we have William representing council, and then he can continuously report back, and he'll be working with Dawn. And Dawn is still knocking on doors to recruit other members of the committee. We, don't want to have it too big and waste too many people's time, like if it's duplication. So I think to start, it would be great for anyone else is really anxious to be on it. They'd be more than welcome. Yeah.
Else? Well, thank you very much for bringing this initiative to Elmer. Certainly, as you said, we're unique in many ways and also progressive in many
Yeah.
ways. I heard you mention the Family Central and second stage housing, and heard you mention that one of the first steps is to determine the priority issues and get some data on that. I'm sure you thought of kind of connecting with social services in St. Thomas, who has a lot of data on
Yeah,
this area.
yeah.
So, but anyway, thank you for bringing this great initiative to Elmer.
Thank you.
Have a resolution?
That the delegation of Roxanne Riddle and Don Bailey from the United Way Elgin Middlesex regarding Community Impact Advisory Committee and Housing Initiative be received for information.
Moved and seconder, Councilman Reyes, Councilor Rahi. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 5.22, Mrs. Sawyers, Joey Yaw, Angela Klusterman, and Capri Thiessen have a delegation concerning a mural proposal for Balmoral Park. So approach the podium. Great to see students from East Elgin here again.
Good evening, esteemed Mayor and Council members. My name is Amy Sawyers, and I am one of the visual art teachers at East Elgin Secondary School. It is my pleasure to stand before you and speak with you tonight alongside a group of incredibly bright, talented, and inspiring students from East Elgin, all of whom I've had the opportunity to connect with both in my art classes and now through the Community Beautification Project that we're here to share with you this evening. Their names are Joey Yaw, Angela Klusterman, and Capri Thiessen. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Councillor Catherine DeRosier and the Parks and Beautification Committee for reaching out to me and my art students to be part of the beautification initiative they envisioned for Balmoral Park. At the end of the 2022-2023 school year, Councillor DeRosier contacted me with the idea to have a group of art students combine their talents to create a large-scale mural that could be painted on a utility box in Balmoral Park. Myself and a fairly small group of eager and artsy East Elgin Eagles, including the three with me tonight, have since been working very hard to create a visual design that represents both the vision of the Parks and Beautification Committee and the community that Balmoral Park is part of. We're thrilled to bring art outside of the classroom walls and contribute to the community that is so supportive of our school. Second, I want to express my sincere thanks to Town Council for giving us the opportunity to speak with you tonight about the mural project that these three students and others have been working so hard to bring to life. I am confident that you'll be as impressed with them and their creativity as I am. Without further ado, Joey, Angela, and Capri, three student artists who have been instrumental in creating the Balmoral Park mural design you're about to enjoy seeing.
Hi, I'm Joey Yaw. Thanks for having me.
And I'm Angela Klusterman.
And I'm Capri Thiessen.
Balmoral Park is the center of our community. The town pool and splash pad offer many tourism opportunities.
The goal of this proposal is to offer a design to beautify one of the large utility boxes located within the park.
Together, through student collaboration, we have created a design that we feel will align with the town of Elmer's beautification goals.
The following picture represents the current state of the utility box, and as you can see, it's pretty boring and bland.
Our inspiration. These two artists were our major inspirations for the project. We took Mr. Doodle's doodle-type style and Keith Haring's simplistic style as our inspiration. Here you can see some of our sketches and some of our process.
For our design, we plan to create multiple illustrations with bright and fun colors, as this utility box will be mostly seen by children.
Our design has many different themes on each side, yet are all connected to create some harmony. Here are more of our sketches. Do you want me to start? I'll start at the top.
Okay, start in the middle, yeah.
The top and sides of the box are made up of activities done around town, such as a baseball, football, and basketball to represent sports, school supplies, and an eagle to represent our schools, as well as hot dogs and burgers to show local foods.
And going on to the bottom, or the bottom of the box, yeah. What makes this side different from the others? The blue water represents the lake that runs through Elmer, and this side is going for a more serene and peaceful look, which is why the trees and the wildlife are here. This side also represents Elmer's Memorial Garden, which is why it's kept bright, but not as playful as the other sides, out of respect.
And here it is flipped around. This bottom side represents the splash pad and pool in the town. The trillium is both Ontario's national flower, but also the shape of the splash pad. We also have the frog-like structure, cattails, and the giant leaves, which are all also a part of the splash pad. The rubber duckies at the bottom are used to represent the rivers filled with ducks and geese. Do you want to read your side?
After presenting the mural design and costs associated with the project to the Elmer Parks and Beautification Committee last week, one question that was brought to the table by Councillor de Rosier was whether it might be possible to offset some of the material costs through the community donations from local businesses. Our team agreed that this is a possibility worth exploring because we feel that it's not only a utility box beautification project, but is an opportunity to support something positive for the whole Elmer community, but also a chance to stand who are generally willing to share their artistic talents with the community and committed to being active young citizens and leaders in the community. We have since started identifying local businesses that stock items needed for the project, as well as making contact with businesses owners of this project. The progress we have made so far is Canadian Tire and Home Hardware are local businesses that sell materials we'll need for the mural. Councillor de Rosier helped make a connection between Ms. Soares and Paul Leaking from Canadian Tire. Mr. Leaking was contacted and has since said that he is very interested in supporting the mural project. Mr. Leaking's suggestion was that his business, Canadian Tire, would be willing to donate all the needed project materials, but wonders and hopes that any funds dedicated to the mural project by Town Council might be donated to Canadian Tire's Jumpstart charity chapter in lieu of purchasing mural materials directly. He thought that this would accomplish two great things for the community at the same time. At this point, we are hoping to receive feedback from Town Council in response to Mr. Leaking's proposal. We would also welcome any other suggestions of community partners that Town Council members would have connections to help gain further support for the mural project. If Council feels that the community support behind Canadian Tire's generous donation is needed.
Thank you for having us. That's it.
All right, thank you. Council, any questions? Deputy Mayor Barber.
Just a very quick comment, a very comprehensive breakdown on your budget. It was a rubber ducky that sold me.
Councillor Oslodge.
Welcome back.
Very well. Okay, Councillor Rahi.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. What was that offer that Canadian Tire had? Can you repeat it one more time so I can hear that?
I can touch on it.
Yeah.
I just heard back from Mr. Leaking this morning, actually. It said that he'd be happy to donate all of the supplies that you saw on our supply list, which is beyond our expectation. We were anticipating needing to contact a few different local businesses, perhaps be able to collect some materials and just offset the $800 that we've sort of proposed as the cost for the mural. He came back saying that he felt that his store would be able to cover all of our supplies list, but being that it's an initiative that the Parks and Beautification Committee, has initiated, He was hoping that if any money within that $800 that was proposed is dedicated by the Parks and Beautification Committee and the Town Council, if any of those funds are put towards the mural, that those would instead be, he will supply us with the materials, and any funds put aside by the committees would be put towards the charity that Canadian Tire supports, the local charity that he supports. So he's supporting us and ends up being, this was, like I said, this is a proposal that he came up with this morning. It was a wonder of his.
Go ahead.
Just a follow-up comment. I love the idea of having color down in the park, and you have a lot of stuff smashed into one little box there, which is fantastic because you cover all kinds of stuff. And I think it'd be a great addition down there, so hopefully we can make it happen.
Councillor Van Raes.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank you for the presentation. Great job. You put it in there so that way there's not really many questions. We're just more in support of this. And Paul Leaking is a great supporter of our community, so I want to thank him as well for showing his support. I'm all for it. I love it. I know we have to move on to the actual vote, but outside of this, if you need any support, don't hesitate to reach out to me because I get behind this 100%. So.
Good. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to thank the three of you for being willing to come and talk to us. Your artwork is amazing, and I can't wait to see it in the park.
Right, very good. And thank you for coming. The three of you are the designers, and I assume you're also the artists that's going to do this. So, and thank you for appearing before council. Sometimes we can seem a bit daunting, but thank you for your presentation. We have a resolution.
Yes. That the delegation of Mrs. Sawyers, Joey Yaw, Angela Kloosterman, and Capri Thiessen regarding Balmoral Park mural proposal be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Oslach and Councillor Chapman. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. All right. The next item actually deals with the funding, I think, for this project. Do we have a resolution?
Yes. That report operations 1824 entitled Adopt a Park Program, Park Mural Program be received as information, and that council approve the proposal from Joey Yaw, Angela Kloosterman, and Capri Thiessen, and that council fund the project to an upper limit of $1,000 inclusive of applicable taxes, including anti-graffiti coating.
Second, Deputy Mayor Barber and Councillor Van Raes. Any discussion? Councillor Chapman?
Yes, through your worship. I love the proposal that Paul Lakin gave us of him donating the materials and us supporting the Jumpstart program. There's nothing better than supporting youth in many ways, and if it's possible, I would like to see that happen.
I think the Director of Operations has a report on this, right? I should have come to you first.
Thank you, Worship. Just a little bit to add, as it says in the report, the Parks and Beautification Committee is recommending that council support this initiative. And then the staff have reviewed the budget and believe the cost of the project can be probably accommodated in our existing budget. As council recalled, they set aside additional funds in our 2024 parks maintenance, so I believe we can accommodate it. And then council has regular financial reports to review throughout the year. If we had to make adjustments somewhere, we could probably fit it in.
Thank you.
I was not aware of the proposal, so I didn't have time to defer with the treasurer on the offer that council received tonight.
Councillor Rahi.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe this is just the start, and maybe we can take him up on his proposal for the next one, if there isn't time for it to happen for this one.
Well, I think, the resolution does cover this, so you don't have to worry about the next one. We can go ahead with this if you wish, right? I had some other questions. Councillor Van Raes?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe to Heather, with the proposal. I agree with Councillor Chapman. I like the idea because it's benefiting two different programs, so benefiting a lot more people, a lot of youth, which we need. Is this something we can do? Can we donate to Canadian Tire Jumpstart program for him to donate the materials to this?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, with the clerk's permission, if we had amended the resolution to say that we would, pay for the funds, or basically pay Canadian Tire for the material, they could donate to their charity, or we receive a resolution from council to say that we can donate to the whatever charity's name is through the council contribution, like we do with the museum, or like we do with the Lifesaver program, or like we did with, the cemetery or whatever. So through a council resolution, we could donate money to that charity. It would just have to come out of a council contribution, GL, instead of the park's expense.
John Reyes, you have follow-up on that, I think.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can I suggest that we make that amendment?
Certainly, you're making that amendment.
I'd like to.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that?
Your worship, just before we do that, may I speak?
Well, we do have an amendment motion on the floor, so we need a seconder before we can consider that amendment. Seconded by Councilor Roselach. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Regarding the proposal from Canadian Tire, would it be cleaner for us to buy the materials directly from Canadian Tire, and what they do with the proceeds is up to them?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is cleaner for us, and then the resolution for the operations report doesn't have to be amended?
I don't know. Does it have to be amended? Do we do that? I don't-
That way the resolution would stand, except for the amendment that's on the floor now.
You have an amendment on the floor right now, what was the amendment again, so that we're clear?
Yes, it was. So the amendment as I have it is that the primary main motion be amended to consent to a donation to the Jumpstart program as an alternative to funding through the parks budget.
So instead, you're suggesting that we just
I'm suggesting the
material,
council
period.
not endorse the amendment and pass the original resolution.
Sorry, say that again?
Not endorse the amendment?
Well, at this point, I think we can still withdraw the amendment, I think, if you're willing to withdraw the amendment.
If it's a cleaner solution and it still accomplishes the goal of getting this done and then allowing funds to go to Canadian Tire, so if they're purchasing the equipment and they're purchasing all the equipment, I'm assuming Canadian Tire could just take the funds and instead of putting it through as a purchase, donate it to Jumpstart. So I'm willing to withdraw the amendment and then just pass the resolution, and hopefully that will be sufficient for that to go through.
Seconder?
Perfect.
Fine with that? Okay, so the resolution itself would cover all of the necessary expenditures we need in order to go ahead with this, right? Just so I'm clear on this, the original resolution would be fine. Right? Okay. Any further comment on this? Councilor Chapman?
I just, through your worship, I just want to address the team there. So do you think that you can go back to Canadian Tire and give them that we will make the purchase in the condition that they then give that to their Jumpstart program?
Yeah, I will certainly, I'll communicate what we're discussing here tonight. And I'm not sure what looks clean on their end either. So I guess that is maybe something for consideration too, whether they could take funds like that are meant to be, clearing items off their shelf and put that towards the charity.
Yeah.
So I can find that out for sure. I just want to make sure in our budget we had a little bit locked aside for incidentals as well. So I just want to make sure that there will still be a small pool of money beyond like that $800 that we, or that, I guess we said $650 that we had projected the project costing, that we still have a little bit of incidentals
I didn't hear the response, so I'm assuming that everything's okay, right? Okay. Okay, any further comments you want to make?
So because you didn't hear, my question was, will this be okay with Paul Laking, that he could do this, that we could pay for the items and he could contribute back to Jumpstart? So is there any way that we can have it, that it's, I don't want to make it too wordy, but basically that we would approve it under the condition that he would give the donation to the Jumpstart, and if that wasn't possible, then we do it the other way. So I don't want to make it too complicated, but I want to make sure that the money gets to go.
Understood. So you're asking just to change the original motion, amend the motion to have this provision attached to the motion. All right? That makes sense, I think. Do you get the idea of that? Yeah.
Do, yes.
And do we have a seconder for that? Is this amendment proposed by Councillor Chapman? Councillor Ozlach again? Okay, so to be clear, what would the amendment read?
The amendment would read that the main motion be amended to simply allow for the arrangement with Paul Leaking and Canadian Tire. Yeah, under the current main motion, which should be permissible.
Okay, all right, so any further discussion? We'll vote on the amendment first. All those in favor? That is carried. So then we vote on the original motion as amended, all right? All those in favor? Yeah, that is carried. Thank you. Didn't think we'd get into a mess of amendments on that minor item. All right, consent agenda. We have a resolution.
That the May 1st consent agenda be received for information, and that the recommendations within the staff report be adopted, and that council approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on April 17th, 2024.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Van Rays. Any comments on any of those items? Seeing none, all right. All in favor? Carried, thank you. So now I think we're on action items, correct? Item 7. And we need a motion to go into close.
The council moves into a meeting close to the public at 7:48 PM to discuss the following matters: Chief Administrative Officer Report 25-2024, legal advice regarding non-resident fees, and that consideration of this item be closed to the public pursuant to Section 239E and K of the Municipal Act 2001, as the subject matter pertains to advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and K, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on or on behalf of the municipality or local board.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Deputy Mayor Barber. All those in favor? Is carried. Do you want to just wait until we're into close? Everyone, we have a recommendation, or resolution.
That council rise from the meeting close to the public at 8:10 PM and reports the following. That council received for information Chief Administrative Officer Report, CAO 25-24, respecting legal advice respecting non-resident fees.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Van Raes and Councillor Oslach. All those in favor? It's carried, so. The next is the staff report from CAO dealing with non-resident fees. We have a resolution.
Yes, and that resolution reads that report CAO 23-24 respecting non-resident user fees be received as information, and that council endorse the proposed non-resident user fees for the Elmer Pool.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Van Raes and Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you is the report on the implementation of non-resident fees for the Elmer Pool. The simplest way I can relay this situation for the public is that Elmer has been a great neighbor. As a great neighbor, we've welcomed everybody to come and use our pool. But now there's a trail of water in our kitchen and somebody's raiding the fridge. So it's a situation where no matter how nice we are as a host, there are things that simply need to be addressed. Staff are recommending a fee as we cannot support the town's residents subsidizing another municipality. I want to avoid any confusion here, so just to provide some background, the town of Elmer owns a pool. Elmer has an agreement with the YWCA to operate all programming provided at that pool. This agreement's highly beneficial and it allows for the provision of outstanding programming to our residents at a very low cost. A neighboring municipality had an agreement with the town since 1974, which agreed to allow access to pool programming for their residents at the same fee of Elmer, based on their municipality providing financial assistance for the normal operation and maintenance of the pool. That agreement was canceled this winter without consultation. Previous to cancellation, the costs were proportioned out to this partner based on the proportional utilization of users of the Elmer Pool by their residents. So this was an amount of just under $14,000 in 2023. In 2023, the town of Elmer paid over $44,000 just for the pool operations and maintenance. This does not include any capital works. So the non-residence fee being recommended is just a first step, as it does not represent full cost recovery. The town still will likely have to pay an additional $7,000 to $10,000 in 2024 towards the pool, just even if we do adopt these fees. So we're still going to have additional costs because of the cancellation of that 1974 agreement. This is a situation where Elmer's been a very good neighbor, and we've provided access to a very worthwhile amenity. In terms of costs, we haven't done any direct analysis, but I think it's fair to say that you would be very hard-pressed to find an outdoor pool in Ontario that operates for less money. This is a very well-run and cheap pool, and the arrangement with the YWCA is exceptional for the services that we get. Elmer's been very welcoming to date, and I think, everybody sees it as unfortunate that that agreement's ended. As you will see in the report, there are many municipalities that have non-resident user fees. There are also examples of municipalities that pay directly to avoid non-resident fees being applied to their residents. A good example of this is the agreement with the St. Thomas Community Recycling Center on Edgware Road. In 2016, Elmer agreed to pay $17,000 initially with CPI indexing after that to have that facility take our leaf and yard waste, large item, and hazardous materials for our residents, just as if we were residents of St. Thomas. The following year, Malahide Township followed suit and entered the same arrangement with that facility for $20,000 initial costs. So if either Elmer or Malahide were ever to withdraw our support from the St. Thomas Recycling Center, they would institute a non-resident fee upon us, our residents, to collect that full amount. So that is exactly the same scenario. The only difference here is that neither Elmer or Malahide pulled out of the St. Thomas Recycling Center in 2024. So that's kind of how these things go, is once you remove your levy support, it switches it to the residents. Given Elmer's small geographic size, we can anticipate much higher utilization of our assets and amenities by non-residents than most municipalities. While we want to encourage everyone to our community, we also can't support subsidizing other municipalities.
We understand that there may be statements made to suggest that this fee is somehow new or that other municipalities should apply non-residence fees for Elmer's. This fundamentally misses the point that this is a 1974 funding agreement that has been in place, so it's a long-standing pre-existing agreement to fund a unique asset, which is an outdoor pool, and certainly by canceling that, that burden is being shifted directly from their levy to their users, and that's what we're trying to effect here. There's a lot of detail in the report I won't go into. At a high level, I would indicate to staff and council that we've certainly done our work in hopes that funding would be restored. This is the fourth report on the non-resident fee, with the first being presented on February 21st. We've also offered to have discussions on this, so Elmer continues to be a good neighbor and a willing partner. There just isn't any way that staff can support our residents paying for another community's residents. And with that, I'll try to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you. Council, I see Councilor Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. Andy, thanks for the report. No, it's not an easy task to talk about something like this. I find it very unfortunate that we have to. It's too bad that this was brought forward over the amount that we're talking about. I don't agree with putting the extra cost of our surrounding area on Elmer, but it doesn't sit right with me charging extra money to people. It's not an easy decision for me or anybody, I know that, but sometimes I have to go with my gut, so that is my comment on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Oslach.
Your worship, I cannot deny any child the right to learn how to swim. A municipality is too tight to afford $19,000 is a drop in the bucket.
Thank you. Councilor Van Raes.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as all councilors are, and Councilor Roy stated, it's not a easy decision. We live in a close-knit community with family and friends that extend beyond our borders, and whatever decision we make tonight, while it is not a huge cost when it comes to municipal budgets, it will impact Elmer residents as well as people beyond our borders. My role as a counselor sitting at this table for Elmer my job is to represent the residents of Elmer. So when I make my decision tonight, that's what I have to remind myself, and what I'm doing is making the best decisions that I think is in the best interest of the residents of Elmer. So that's my comment.
Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you, Worship. I have struggled with this issue, as all of the members of council have, deciding what is best for the swim program and for our respective peoples, whether they be resident or non-resident. The bottom line to me is that with the withdrawal of funds from another municipality, that cost is directly borne on the people of Elmer. And it's unfair for the people of Elmer to be paying monies that should be being paid by another. And again, it's unfortunate. I hope that that no child, because of cost, is unable to participate in a Learn to Swim program. But we didn't make this issue. And again, it's strictly the bottom line. Elmer people should not be paying a fee when it should be borne by another body.
Councilor Chapman.
Through you, Your Worship, I totally agree. The right to swim should be allowed to all children. However, it should not be at the expense of our Elmer residents. There are programs, if if this fee, if we implement the fee and it is a burden for someone, there are programs to help support families who need funding to help their children in the swim program. So just be aware of that. But when it comes to Malahide dropping out their support, it should not be, that burden should not come on to Elmer residents. We pay for our children to swim. They should pay for their children to swim.
Yeah, difficult decision. I have wrestled with that, as I'm sure you have wrestled with it as well. As mayor and as member of council, I have to think about what's best for the town of Elmer. But the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at this situation is we had an agreement since 1974. What did we do to change that agreement? I really have no idea why our neighboring municipality has made this change. What do we do to cause that? I don't think that we have done anything in the town of Elmer to cause that, so it's a mystery as to why that is happening. I should point out that the amount of money that the municipality of Malahide pays to the town of Elmer is determined through the only data that we have in terms of the pool use. And the only data we have in terms of the pool use is the programming. We don't really have a lot of data on who comes just for recreational swimming. Of course, they use the pool as well, of course, but and the expenses that we put together are really the expenses of the programming and the operation of the pool, which includes, chlorine and water and all those kinds of things, which I believe, and the treasurer, correct me on this if I'm wrong, I believe in 2023 that it amounted to about $57,000, which include the programming and the operations. And the way that we apportion the expenses to the township of Malahide was that is it done on the basis of use for programming. The program use for Malahide amounted to 23.8% of the total use for programming, so we charged them 23.8% of what those expenses were, which amounted to $13,000 last year, just so you're clear on where these numbers come from, right? Again, it's a mystery as to why we suddenly are faced with a situation in which this money has been withdrawn. And I don't like the idea of sort of reacting to another municipality's decision. We should be reacting on the basis of our own decision, and should be reacting on the basis of what's best for the town of Elmer. And perhaps the time has come to do fees for things that people outside of our town use. So anyway, that's my comments. Anyone else? Okay. Councilor Ozelot.
Couldn't we have a recorder vote?
We're ready for the vote? Okay, nobody's, good.
Councilor Rahe.
No.
Councilor Van Raes.
Yes.
Councilor Chapman. Councilor Oslich.
No.
Deputy Mayor Barber.
Yes.
Mayor Cookit.
Yes.
So the motion is carried 4-2.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a difficult one. Item 722, Manager of Parks and Recreation, the Elmer Pool Maintenance Improvements. We have a resolution.
Yes. That report Recreation 7-24 entitled Elmer Pool Maintenance Improvements Capital Equipment Procurement be received for information, and that the council accept the quote from Aquam Aquatic Specialist Incorporated in the amount of $17,052.37, inclusive of applicable taxes for the purchase of lifeguard-related equipment.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Chapman, Deputy Mayor Barber. have a report. Rob?
Thank you, Your Worship. As was identified in the condition assessment, the replacement of the guard chairs are listed as an overall high priority. The staff subsequently met with the YMCA to review sort of a cost-effective option for the replacement of that equipment, and one that would work with our configuration and also work with their needs. From that work, staff then solicited prices from vendors and are recommending that council accept the low bid from Aquam Aquatic Specialists.
Council? Right.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Rob, is that price chairs installed, or is that them showing up in boxes?
That would be the price of the chairs, through Your Worship. That would be the price of the chairs and the freight to get them here. There would still be a cost to have them installed.
Oh, yeah. Follow-up?
Mr. Mayor, to Rob, do we have a rough idea what it's gonna cost to put these up?
Through you, Your Worship, I know Ms. Ray has been working with service providers. We've had a couple of people down there. I think there was one option to bust out a slab of concrete and then re-pour. I think she's also working on another option, so there would be sort of a lag, bolt that could be lagged into. They also have to be grounded because of a lightning with WSIB and all that stuff. That's why these chairs are there. I suspect you're probably, if I was to hazard a guess, a couple $1,000s to get them put in the ground under one of those scenarios.
Deputy Mayor Barber.
Will this be outsourced to, Rob, will this be outsourced or done internally?
Through Your Worship, yeah, this is working with some local contractors to see if we can't get it in the ground quickly before the pool season.
Can we do some of it ourselves?
Through Your Worship, yes, I suggested if there was, let's say, concrete removal, if that's the option that they go, that perhaps staff could, take out a panel of concrete if needed, anything to help control the cost of getting them put in.
Thank you.
Any other? Very well, you have a resolution on the floor. All those in favor? Yes, carried, thank you. 7.2.3, Manager of Planning and consent to sever resolution.
That the Council of the Town of Elmer receive report Plan 14-24 regarding planning evaluation report, application for consent to sever E34-24, and that the application for consent to sever E34/24 related to the property legally described as part of Town Hall Lot Registered Plan 74, and municipally known as 11 Linden Street, be supported in principle with the recommended conditions for reasons set out in this report, and that this report be forwarded to the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration.
Mover and seconder. Councilor Van Razen, Councilor Chapman. Who's doing the report? Terry?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to members of council, the purpose of this application for consent is to sever the subject lands at 11 Linden Street into 2 residential parcels. Currently, a semi-detached residential building is being constructed on the lands, and each semi-detached unit is proposed to be subdivided. The planning evaluation, the proposed application for consent to sever is consistent with the provincial policy statement. The proposed application conforms to the County of Elgin official plan and the Town of Elmer official plan. It meets the current R2 zoning. Planning staff have reviewed the application, and it's recommended that council offer support in principle for the application to the Land Division Committee. And on that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Seeing no questions, we're there. Call the question. All those in favor? It's carried. Item 7.2.4. Resolution.
That report Fire 4-24 be received for information.
Mover and seconder. Councilor Rahi and Councilor Oslech. Chief McGowan.
Thank you, Worship. Good evening. Good evening, members of council. You have before you our first quarter report. Again, we tried to do it in a different format to break up your eyes a little bit and make it some quick information out of you. It's pretty straightforward, but I'm here to answer any questions that council may have for me. Thank you, Your Worship.
Council. Council Rahi.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So Todd, or Chief McCone, these pretty standard numbers that you see for a quarter?
Through Your Worship, yep, we're pretty much on target where we were. Of course, this time last year we had a few more working hours and a few more later nights than this report will show due to the downtown fire. But this is pretty much on target where we are every year.
Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you to Chief McCone. There was a social media posting that you have received your 2 breathing apparatus. How do they differ from the previous models?
Through Your Worship, great question. Our previous date SCBAs are what we call 2216. That's how much air they hold. These new packs that we are slowly switching to are 4500. So the theory is that a firefighter has a little bit more air, and more importantly, more air for an escape if he or she needed that extra air. The industry is kind of moving towards 4500. You don't see the small bottles anymore. And we have the ability that we've been updating our packs, that we have to purchase some new 45s, and then when the time comes, we'll convert our existing 2216s to accept the 45s. I did some real quick math on it. It saves almost $300,000 than purchasing complete new SCBAs. So it's a great step. This is kind of the new technology, the new car on the lot, so to speak, for Scott Air Pack. And as our packs get old, we are retiring. We took 2 out of service that don't have the man down alarm built into the packs as well, where of course our new ones do. So as we move the ones out that expire, we replace them with 4500s, and then the hope is in the next 4 to 5 years we will be completely 4500, very cost efficiently as well.
A follow-up of MMA, Your Worship. Chief, are our mutual aid partners doing the same thing progressively?
Through Your Worship, a great question again. A lot of our mutual aid partners use a different brand. A lot of our mutual aid neighboring departments use MSA, and we use Scott. We use Scott because Scott's got redundancies built into the system that if one chamber air fails, it automatically switches to the other. I can't comment if MSA does or not. I know the Scott does. And it's been a good, true pack. It's well known in the fire industry. And we carry several bottles and have the ability to fill those bottles, so you don't really have to interact and change with other departments. We run probably 50 bottles, I would say, at the station quite easily. When we have a very large call like we experienced last year, we transport bottles 10, 15 at a time, fill them back at the station, and they're back sitting on the trucks ready to go again. So the interoperability with some of the neighboring is not so important for us because we have such a larger volume of SCBA and the tanks as well. But great question.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay. Councillor Van Raes.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, and just want to say thank you for the report. My comment to council is I've had the opportunity to go around and see quite a few different fire halls in a very short period of time. So it's been a great experience. We have some great partners, great neighboring partners that do a tremendous amount of work. The one thing I want to say to council is we should be very proud of our Aylmer Fire Department and how they maintain the station and what we have available for the Aylmer residents. We've had people that went through recently because there was some training there, and there was some positive feedback and comments on our fire hall and the condition that it's kept in. So I just want to make that comment.
Yeah, thank
you. Sorry. Okay, good. Then thank you for the report, and we'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. 7.5, 2.5, Director of Operations, contract award for
That report Operation 17-24 entitled Contract Award Coding Inspection Services be received for information. And that council accept the bid from J-Con Inspection and Consulting Services Limited in the amount of $1,500 per visit, plus applicable taxes as outlined in the quotation, it being noted that the cost of the inspection services is estimated to be approximately $74,050, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the agreement with J-Con Inspection and Consulting Services Limited following the terms and conditions in the request for services.
mover and seconder, Councillor Rahi and Councillor Chapman. Rob?
Thank you, Worship. So working with our consultant on the tower project, the town solicited prices for coding inspection services. The low bid was received from J-Con Inspecting and Consulting Services Limited. The engineer has reviewed the submissions and checked the references. This contractor comes highly recommended with many years of experience, so we're really pleased there. It's not the fact that we only got one bid and one option. We, in fact, have a great service provider that decided to bid our work. And just to give council some sort of scope of what we're inspecting here, I didn't include it in the report, and I probably should have. The exterior coating, when they provide sort of their breakdown of the cost of the tower, the exterior is about $675,000, and the interior coating is about $850,000. So it's a substantial coating that protects this tower. It's a zinc primer, polyfluoral exterior coating that goes on in one application on the top coat, Your Worship. What makes it unique? Well, there are certainly more corrosive tanks out there. The gas petrochemical industry uses some pretty significant coatings to protect their infrastructure. We have a bit of a disadvantage in that water is going into our tower that's going to be consumed. So we have sort of a more specialized coating, and it's imperative that we do sort of more testing to make sure that we're getting what we're paying for and the longevity of that coating. But our inspector is NACE certified, and we're applying all the standards for that application for this tower.
And the cost is in the budget for the water tower.
That's correct, yes.
Council? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Director of Financial Services, 25 budget schedule, resolution.
That report Finance 11-24 respecting 2025 budget timelines be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman, Deputy Mayor Barber. Heather?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Through you into members of council, staff wanted to provide the proposed budget timelines in advance, as similar timelines worked for the past few years. Staff would like ample opportunity for council to consider the feedback from the budget survey, which has gained a lot of popularity in the last few years, and obviously feedback from the Mayor's Town Hall, which helped shape the capital and operating budgets. Public engagement and input is very necessary and valuable, and we do include all of it for the most part in our budgeting process. So starting out, it seems kind of crazy. We just already approved the last year's budget, but I talked to Owen, and we think we could have a draft budget survey by June 19th for council's review and endorsement. And then we'll be able to use a month timeline between then and our next meeting, which would be August 14th, to gain feedback from the budget survey, where we'd start with the preliminary capital budget. I like splitting those two budgets processes purely because it's nice to get the capital looked at in isolation to figure out, what our priorities are for next year and how much funding are we going to need from the operational budget and all those things. So we also we threw the Mayor's Town Hall in here. We just wanted to confirm the date before we finalize that. And then by September, we'll have all of the survey results compiled and some additional time for preliminary budget education sessions through myself and the Finance Committee. Hopefully preliminary operating budget by beginning of October. Now, we won't have a lot of the rates, but we will have some assumptions. And then by the time all of the rates come through, we should have time to approve a preliminary or a final capital and discretionary budget in November, and then have a final operational budget meeting in December with approval for December or January, depending on how we make out. So with that, I'll try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Heather. The Mayor's Town Hall projected to be sometime in September, and it's not just going to be on the budget, although I hope there will be a lot of questions on the budget. It's very well open to anything that the people of Elmer want to ask me and Pete, mostly Pete, no. But it'll be sometime in September. Any questions, comments from? Good to see the budget process starting. All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Director of Financial Services on Financial Policies Update, Resolution.
That report finance 10-24 respecting donations to the town policy be received as information, and that the donations to the town policy be adopted, including all housekeeping amendments to the finance policies.
Okay. You're not going to read all 19 of those other things?
No.
19 of the areas that it impacts. Anyway, mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman and Deputy Mayor Barber. Heather.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Through you again to members of council. The report you have in front of you this evening is to communicate the guidelines for accepting donations and issuing charitable receipts. But in addition, I took this opportunity to make sure I got feedback from the rest of my team on all of the finance policies that the town currently holds. So every year we try to add a policy with respect to accounting practices. So last year we did the ARO policy. About 6 or 8 months prior to that, we did the investment policy. So this is just kind of letting council know that we have touched all of them. We've looked at them. We've incorporated minor housekeeping amendments for title changes and incorporating the Laserfiche process, which is the modernization initiatives that we're working on. The majority of these are housekeeping, so I didn't redline each document. I saved you the pleasure. Basically, we also are required by our One JIB Investment Board to review our IPS, so our investment policy statement, which is also a part of this. So I've integrated it now into this package, and Michelle's going to make sure that it looks nice online so that everybody can just access it in one document. But basically, the only new addition currently is the donation policy. The rest of them were already instituted. We were making housekeeping amendments on it.
Thank you. Council? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Director of Legislative Services, BIA bylaw, resolution.
Yes, that report clerk 11-24 regarding the BIA establishing bylaw modernizations be received for information.
Mover and seconder, Councillor Chapman, Councillor Oslach. Owen.
Yes. So the report in front of you today just outlines the changes being recommended for the BIA establishing bylaw. The current bylaws date back to the 1980s, and there's been a series of provincial regulation and governance standards changes since then. As outlined in the report, the changes would be familiar to council. It's establishing procedural rules for the meetings of the BIA, comprehensive code of conduct for the members, as well as expanding some of the BIA's mandates in terms of strategic planning and community engagement. The bylaw itself has a grace period. It would come into effect January 1st of 2025 to allow the BIA to make any necessary changes, although we don't anticipate there being many. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Council? Seeing no questions, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any new business or matters of urgency? Reading of bylaws, resolutions?
Yes. That council gives 3 readings to and approves bylaw 35-24, being a bylaw to authorize the signing of an agreement between the town of Elmer and Zuling Technologies. Bylaw 36-24, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at the regular council meeting held on April 17th, 2024. Bylaw 37-24, being a bylaw to amend the town of Elmer bylaw 1-80, being a bylaw to designate a certain area as an improvement area within the town of Elmer and to establish a board of management thereof. And bylaw 38-24, being a bylaw to establish non-resident user fees for the town of Elmer pool.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Van Raes, Councillor Chapman. Any comments or? All right. Very good. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Inquiries by members. Deputy Mayor Barber.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have 2. To Terry, can you have a recap of the Spruce Street sidewalk project?
Absolutely. Through Your Worship to Deputy Mayor Barber. Just very brief update. There's a couple small items remaining, such as sod and no parking signs to be installed. But the project started very early. This is Spruce Street from Cedar Street to Elm Street. Like I said, the contractor started very early in the year. They worked very efficiently, and if we didn't receive some rain, they probably would have got the project done within 1 week. Staff is very pleased with the workmanship and the effort the contractor put in, and it's a very big win for the town.
Thank you. And to Chief McCone, changes into the FPPA over the years have opened up opportunities for certain types of buildings, specifically non-combustible, fully sprinkled, and fully alarmed for recreational purposes per se. Would it be possible for you to review the burning bylaw and take into consideration those changes and what opportunities it may open up?
Through you, Your Worship, Fire has no issues reviewing that. As long as the safety still remains the #1 priority, we certainly like to review anything that can increase the quality of living for our residents, as long as it's done in a safe manner. So I don't think that's an issue that we would have to review that.
Thank you.
Any other inquiries? Statements from members? Statements from council, sorry. For the mayor, I don't have really a report. I just wanted to congratulate Councillor Chapman for being hauled back into the Terrace Lodge fundraising committee. They can't do without you, I guess. So thank you for re-enlisting, so to speak. Any notice of motions? Now we go to closed session. We have a motion.
Yes. The council moves into a meeting closed to the public at 8:48 p.m. To discuss the following matters. Chief Administrative Officer reports CAO 24-24 respecting a boundary adjustment update, and that considerations of these items is closed to the public pursuant to Section 239C of the Municipal Act as amended, as the subject matter pertains to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Van Raes, Councillor Rahi. All those in favor? Is carried. There'll be a brief recess and we'll meet here. Okay, welcome back. Resolution?
That council rise from the meeting closed to the public at 9:08 PM and reports the following, that council received for information Chief Administrative Officer Report, CAO 24-24 regarding a boundary adjustment update and provided direction to the CAO on next steps.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Van Raes and Councilor Rahi. Favor? Carried. Adjournment?
That council do now adjourn at 9:08 PM.
Mover and seconder, Councilor Oslak, Deputy Mayor Barber. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good meeting.